WSLS 10 at 5.
And Blacksburg police asking for your help tonight to find a missing 13-year-old girl.
Nicole Lovell was last seen Tuesday night at her family's apartment. Police say local, state, and federal agencies are now involved. They're approaching this case from all angles. WSLS 10's Bethany Teague joins us now live from the Blacksburg Police Department. So Bethany, of course, it's always critical to find missing children quickly, but why is timing so important, particularly important in this case?
Hi, Lindsay. 13-year-old Nicole Lovell had a liver transplant when she was a baby. She has medication that she has to take twice a day to help prevent her body from rejecting that transplant. So the fear is that even just one day without this medicine will cause irreparable damage. That's why police have labeled her as missing and endangered. They say they don't know at this point whether Nicole ran away or whether there is foul play involved. That's why this hasn't risen to the level of an Amber Alert. Nicole was last seen by her mother, Tammy Weeks, at their Blacksburg home around midnight last night. Weeks says when she woke up around 6 this morning, Nicole was gone, along with a blanket and a few bottles of water.
We love you. We want you to come home.
We're not mad.
We're not mad.
She's not in any kind of trouble.
No trouble. I know she thinks I'm going to be mad, but I'm not.
We're not.
Because of the medicine. I just want her to take it and be home with us, give her a hug and a kiss, like she gave me last night before she took a shower.
Nicole's family says it is uncharacteristic for her to go this long without talking to anyone. Coming up at 6, we'll hear a little bit more about what Nicole is like and what her family is asking from the community and from anyone who may be with Nicole tonight. Live in Blacksburg, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
The search for a missing Blacksburg teenager expands to include a ground search.
And police now combing the area near the home of 13-year-old Nicole Lovell. She was last seen about midnight on Tuesday night. Police say Lovell's in danger because she needs to take liver medication twice a day, and she's now missed several doses.
WSLS 10's Bethany Teague joins us now live from the command center in Blacksburg. So, Bethany, do we know why police decided to launch this ground search?
Police say they are looking at every possible scenario in this case, but right now they simply just don't have a lot to go on. The ground search launched just a few hours ago. It includes officers from 6 different police agencies, member of the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, and around 1,000 Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets members. Right now they are focusing on about a half-mile to a mile radius around Nicole's home and will go out from there if need be. They have this mobile command center set up and say it will remain here until there is reason to go elsewhere.
It's one of the darkest and worst things that you can deal with, but Nicole also requires medication daily for a medical condition. We know that we're going on to 36 plus hours without her not having the medication.
The Blacksburg Police Department has set up some phone numbers for anyone with information to call. Those numbers are 540-552-2222, or you can also call anonymously to 540-961-1819. Police say they cannot stress enough how important it is for the community to pull together in this situation and give over any information they might have to help find Nicole. John.
You know, Bethany, we keep talking about this medicine that she has to take. How long can she go without this liver medication?
Well, we don't know the exact time frame. The family indicated she's never gone this long without taking it since she was a baby. That is one of the many reasons why time is of the essence in this case. Live in Blacksburg, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
New efforts tonight in the search for a missing and endangered Blacksburg teenager.
A Virginia Tech drone used infrared technology from the skies throughout the day, while officers from 6 police departments, as well as the FBI, continue to look on foot. 13-year-old Nicole Lovell was last seen around midnight Tuesday at her family's apartment.
WS10's Bethany Teague joins us live tonight from the police mobile command center. So, Bethany, we're understanding that they've moved the command center from yesterday. What's the reason for the move?
Hi, Hi, John. The command center has moved a short distance from where it was yesterday because it's accommodating a different group of searchers today. Thursday, officers from 7 different police agencies were joined by about 1,000 Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets members. Today, the cadets are no longer a part of the search, which is why the command center area does not need to be quite as large. That being said, though, police say this does not mean they are scaling down the search. In fact, they have just as many officers, if not more, involved in the investigation today. They are still focusing on the mile radius or so around Nicole's home. They are getting both a ground look and a view from the air thanks to a drone from the Mid-Atlantic Aviation Partnership at Virginia Tech. Now tonight, Nicole's family is once again pleading with anyone who has information to come forward.
Somebody out there has got to know something. This coverage is way too much for everybody not to know. And Nicole knows we're waiting.
The police say the search's future will depend on where the investigation leads them, but it's too soon to lay out a set timetable right now. Coming up at 6, we'll hear more from Nicole's mother and her grandfather about what the past couple of days have been like without Nicole at home. Lindsay.
So, Bethany, it's not every day that they use these type of drones here in Virginia, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, only twice has a drone been used for a search and rescue mission in Virginia, including this case here now. The other case was back in 2014 during the search for missing and murdered UVA student Hannah Graham. Live in Blacksburg, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
The family of a missing Blacksburg teenager is pleading for her safe return home.
13-year-old Nicole Lovell was last seen about midnight Tuesday at her family's apartment. The search for her has expanded on the ground and in the air. Today, a Virginia Tech drone was used to assist in the search. WSLS 10's Bethany Teague joins us live from the police command center tonight. Bethany, what is the family saying tonight? They must be terribly concerned.
Hi, John. The family is saying tonight that they believe someone has to know something about Nicole's whereabouts. They are also reiterating the message about her need for medication. Nicole has taken meds twice a day since she had a liver transplant when she was just 10 months old. Her family says she has never gone this long without taking it. And for the last 2 days, police officers from 7 agencies have searched the ground. They are following up on every tip that comes in. A drone from Virginia Tech also aided in the search from the air. Nicole's family says they believe someone is responsible for her disappearance, and that person is making their lives a nightmare.
She's made our lives miserable.
Whoever has her is, yeah.
No sleeping at night, can't eat.
She needs her medicine.
Bad.
Really bad.
It's getting critical.
Police say the future of the ground search will depend on where the investigation leads them. Again, they are asking anyone with information about Nicole's whereabouts to call the Blacksburg Police Department. Live in Blacksburg, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
We're learning new details about a missing Blacksburg teen. A Virginia Tech athlete is now in jail in connection to the disappearance of 13-year-old Nicole Lovell. Today, police arrested 18-year-old David Eisenhower, who you see here. He faces felony abduction charges. Officers say that the new developments in the investigation led them to Eisenhower.
With this arrest, investigators are very much in the midst of what is a rapidly developing investigation. We appreciate the public's patience as we move through the investigative process, and we will continue to update the media and the public as new information becomes available. We also advise those on the Virginia Tech campus not to be alarmed if they see an increase of law enforcement.
Missing 13-year-old Nicole Lovell's remains were found by police today. As we've reported, Nicole was last seen at her home in Blacksburg between midnight and 7 a.m. Wednesday. Since then, officers from 7 agencies, including the FBI, focused on a 1-mile radius around Nicole's home. And then in a news conference held tonight, authorities delivered the news that no one wanted to hear. They say that her body was found in Surrey County, North Carolina, near the state's border. Blacksburg Police Chief Anthony Wilson says those remains were discovered around 4 o'clock this afternoon near Route 89. Earlier today, police arrested 18-year-old David Eisenhower, a freshman at Virginia Tech, in relation to Nicole's disappearance. Eisenhower is now charged with felony abduction and first-degree murder. He's currently being held in the Montgomery County Jail without bond. Wilson says that Eisenhower's arrest has led them to several more clues.
This investigation is far from over as we continue to conduct multiple interviews and processing additional evidence related to this crime. The focus of this investigation is to now reconstruct the timeline leading up to Nicole's tragic death.
Now, police say at this time Eisenhower has not confessed to the crime. Lovell's remains are being transported to the medical examiner in Roanoke. Now, news of her death and Eisenhower's arrest sent shockwaves through our community. Virginia Tech's president Tim Sands is speaking out. In a statement, he says today's events have, quote, everyone in a state of shock and sadness. Speaking on behalf of our community, let me say that our hearts go out to Nicole's family and friends. As a father, as well as Virginia Tech's president, I want to reassure you that our community is supportive and resilient. It is normal to feel anxious and overwhelmed at this time or times as this. You are not alone. And today has been an emotional roller coaster ride for people in our community. This evening, crowds gathered to show their support to the family of Nicole Lovell. Justice for Children Without Voices held a prayer vigil tonight. Gatherers had hoped Nicole would come home safely. Then tonight, their hopeful prayers changed to condolences. WSLS 10's Duke Carter reports.
As some people sing Amazing Grace, you can hear others sobbing.
She's not alive.
Some were crying and weeping. Others were hugging each other because they now know a child, a member in the Blacksburg community, has passed away at a very young age.
We was coming here hoping she was going to come home.
Bid them not, for such is the kingdom of God.
Pastor Mike Honecker of River of Life Church in Dublin spoke words of encouragement during tonight's vigil, especially now that the goal is to make sure the family can get a sense of peace during this tragic time.
To praying for the family, and also accepted it once again as a challenge to do more, to just do whatever we could do, however we could do it, to try and protect and guard our children's safety.
2 Virginia Tech students are now in custody in connection to the death of Nicole Lovell. Today, Blacksburg police announced the arrest of Natalie Keepers. The 19-year-old faces 1 felony count of improper disposal of a dead body and 1 misdemeanor count of accessory after the fact. Now, Keeper's arrest comes in addition to the arrest of David Eisenhower. The 18-year-old was arrested Saturday on 1 felony count of first-degree murder and 1 felony count of abduction. Both students are being held in a Montgomery County jail. As we've reported, Nicole was last seen at her home in Blacksburg. Her family says she went missing between midnight and 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Since then, officers from 7 agencies, including the FBI, focused on a 1-mile radius around Nicole's home. And then in a news conference held Saturday, authorities say that they found the teen's body in Surry County, North Carolina. We've been covering this story since the very beginning, and now WSLS 10's Rob Manch is in the studio with the latest. Rob, what can you tell us?
Well, Bree, police held a press conference today at 1 o'clock this afternoon to break down what they know up to this point. And aside from naming Keepers as that second person charged in connection with Lovell's disappearance and death, they also revealed that the man charged with her murder knew her beforehand and used his influence over Lovell to ultimately abduct and kill her.
We have some very wounded folks in our community.
The town of Blacksburg was in mourning Sunday, learning that 13-year-old Nicole Lovell is dead and 2 aspiring students at Virginia Tech may be responsible. 18-year-old David Eisenhower is charged with Lovell's abduction and murder. Now, police say he had an accomplice.
19-year-old Natalie Marie Keepers has been charged by Blacksburg police with 1 felony count of improper disposal of a body and 1 misdemeanor count of accessory after the fact in the commission of a felony.
But even more disturbing, police say Eisenhower knew Lovell beforehand and planned her death.
Based on evidence collected to date, we have determined that Eisenhower and Nicole were acquainted prior to her disappearance. Eisenhower used this relationship to his advantage to abduct and then kill her.
These details have come to light following a 4-day search pursuing hundreds of phoned-in tips and social media leads with ground teams and even aerial drones provided by Virginia Tech. Police say the investigation is far from over.
Investigators continue to be very busy today with pursuing the approximately 300 leads generated over the past 5 days. They are still conducting additional interviews and working through evidence collection, processing, and analysis.
As police work to piece together Lovell's last days, they're urging everyone to remember the family at the center of the tragedy.
Just remember, these are the kind of crimes that rip communities apart.
As you heard there, Lieutenant Albert says the investigation into Lovell's death is far from over, and at this point, police are still less than a week into the search for evidence, and this has only become a murder investigation in just the last day, Bree.
And Rob, you were at the press conference last night as well as today. It seems like a lot of this is coming together pretty fast. What are police doing to get these leads and get this investigation together?
Well, Bree, yeah, it is coming together incredibly fast. It seems like just yesterday that we first learned about Nicole's disappearance, and now, of course, we've learned that 2 people are charged in her death. But the police today at the press conference said 15 different agencies from Virginia and North Carolina are work together to get to this point in the investigation, including the FBI. So Lieutenant Albert listed off each of those departments today, and it actually took him about a minute to get to all of those different agencies. So definitely an impressive effort by police and everyone who phoned in those tips or on social media as well.
All right, thank you, Rob. Thank you for keeping us updated. Good work there.
The 2 suspects charged in connection with the killing of 13-year-old Nicole Lovell made their first appearance in court today. Tonight, we're hearing from Nicole's father exclusively for the first time since hearing the news of his daughter's death.
18-year-old David Eisenhower, meanwhile, is charged with first-degree murder and abduction in this case. He's received a court-appointed lawyer. Meanwhile, 19-year-old Natalie Keepers on the right hired a lawyer herself. She is charged with improper disposal of a body and accessory after the fact.
WSLS 10's Dawn Jeffries has been following this story very closely and brings us the very latest. So, Dawn, was Nicole's father able to make it to the arraignment today?
Lindsay, that was his intention, but both arraignments started earlier than scheduled, so he wasn't able to sit in on the proceedings. But one of his friends told me as they walked in this morning that this is something that you see on the news. They say that what happened to Nicole is something you cannot describe when it hits close to home. And it's really one of the reasons that her father, David Lovell, wanted to come here to the courthouse today. David Lovell tells me that he's doing as good as could be expected in a situation like this. He came here with his wife and that friend I mentioned. No one can imagine how they'd respond if in their shoes, but for David Lovell, he wanted to come to see the 2 people accused of killing his daughter. He tells me he came because he wanted answers.
These 2 individuals took my daughter from this planet, and I want to know why. I want all the information I can get.
The next court appearance for David Eisenhower and Natalie Keepers is March 28th here in the Montgomery County Courthouse. That is when their preliminary hearing will be held, and that's the place that will hear some of the details and what brought police to bringing these 2 in as suspects. Live in Christiansburg, Dawn Jeffries, WSLS 10.
Another angle on the story, the search for evidence in the police investigation of Nicole's killing continues today. State police dive teams searched a lake on Virginia Tech's campus for the 2nd day in a row, while a criminal investigations unit is stationed in the Jefferson National Forest using surveying tools to collect evidence as well. And the police activity, along with the fallout following the news of Nicole's death, has the Blacksburg community heartbroken tonight. WSLS 10's Rob Manch spoke to people there who knew Lovell. So, Rob, how are people who were close to her even pretending to deal with this tragedy?
Well, John, we're here on Virginia Tech's campus tonight, where police have spent the majority of today searching this pond you can see here behind me for clues in this case. But all this investigative activity is a constant reminder to passersby here in Blacksburg of this crime that has torn the community apart. Now, I stopped by Auburn Baptist Church in Reiner today, where Lovell has been a member for the past 5 years. Lovell's youth pastor there, Josh Blankenship, says she rode the bus to be at Sunday school there every weekend. Many people there just learned yesterday of Lovell's death, and he says the reaction has been unanimous.
Shock, disbelief, and uncomfortable right now. I mean, this is home for not only this church, but for a lot of people around here, and nobody wants to see stuff like this anywhere. And so a lot of hearts that are broken.
Meanwhile, police are continuing this investigation, and the facts continue to multiply. In addition to the pond here, state police investigated a site in the Jefferson National Forest today off of Craig Creek Road they referred to as a crime scene. Now, aside from Lovell's church, I also stopped by Blacksburg Middle School, where guidance counselors there held extended hours today to make sure kids and students and even teachers had someone to talk to and cope with this tragedy. In Blacksburg, Rob Manch, WSLS 10.
We have also learned the preliminary autopsy shows that Nicole was stabbed to death. WSLS 10's Dawn Jeffrey sat in on today's news conference. She joins us now live. So Dawn, bring us up to date. What more can you tell us?
Well, John, at that news conference, we heard about the new charge against one of the suspects and the cause of death, as you mentioned. But we also heard from Nicole Lovell's mother, Tammy Weeks. She shared some very personal stories about everything from her daughter's health to her favorite animal.
My daughter, Nicole Lovell, Coley is what we called her.
It's a position no mother should ever be in.
She was born May 3rd, 2002.
Tammy Weeks, speaking to what's become a nationwide audience, talks about her daughter, Nicole Lovell, born 13 years ago and almost immediately fighting for her life.
After many tests and scans and blood work, she was diagnosed with hemangiopericytoma, a rare tumor in her liver.
At just 10 months old, Nicole had a liver transplant. A few years later, another fight.
Coley tried to live a normal life up until age 4 when she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. At this point, we almost lost her for the second time.
Tammy says Nicole fought to live a third time, developing an often fatal lung condition in which her daughter had a 1% chance of survival.
We were advised at that time she would only had 1% chance of survival. Coley once again beat the odds, though. After 8 months in the hospital, she was released and she started to thrive.
She thrived only to be taken before fulfilling her childhood dreams.
Coley had a passion for pandas, music, dancing, dreamed of being on American Idol someday. Her favorite color was blue. Nicole was a very lovable person. Nicole touched many people throughout her short life.
Hard to imagine, guys, how she was able to find the strength to come out and share that with everyone today. Nicole Lovell's visitation is tomorrow. Her funeral will be Friday, both here in Blacksburg. In Blacksburg, Dawn Jeffries, WSLS 10.
19-year-old Natalie Keepers is now facing a felony charge that could land her in prison for the rest of her life. WSLS 10's Bethany T got a copy of Keepers' new arrest warrant. She joins us now live in Blacksburg as part of our team coverage. So, Bethany, what'd you find out?
Hi, Lindsay. Natalie Keepers is now charged with accessory to first-degree murder before the fact. David Eisenhower is still charged with first-degree murder in what we now know was the stabbing death of Nicole Lovell. Now, Keepers was originally charged with accessory after the fact and concealing or transporting a dead body. Accessory after the fact carries a maximum sentence of 1 year, and concealing carries 5 years. This new charge, accessory before the fact, carries a possible sentence of 20 years to life in prison. Commonwealth Attorney Mary Pettit announced the new charges during a news conference today and said she would not be releasing any more details until court proceedings began.
My responsibility to Nicole Lovell and to this community is to maintain the integrity of this case for court and to seek justice inside of a courtroom.
Keepers is scheduled to be arraigned on the new charge Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning. She is currently being held without bond. Live in Blacksburg, Bethany Teague, WSLS 10.
The community comes together to remember 13-year-old Nicole Lovell. Family and friends paid their respects at McCoy Funeral Home tonight. That's where a visitation for the Blacksburg Middle School student took place.
WSLS 10's Bree Jackson is live in our studio tonight. So, Bree, you talked with people who attended that service. What are they saying about this young girl?
Well, John, it was a somber day as family, friends, police officers, and others gathered for Nicole's visitation. People I spoke with say that she was full of life And today they shared memories of the young girl who touched so many lives. Hundreds gathered at this Blacksburg funeral home to pay respects to Nicole Lovell. Katie Wilson says she's known the family for years.
She fought so hard to get to this point in her life. And then you have people like that just take her innocence from her. And it's just heartbreaking.
Loved ones and friends say they still can't believe Coley's gone.
So loving, just smiling all the time, just enjoyed life.
A life taken after police say she went missing from her home and was stabbed to death. Now, 2 Virginia Tech students remain in jail in connection to her murder. Meanwhile, mourners gave their condolences. Nicole's former teacher shared fond memories.
She said Merry Christmas to me and walked away, and then she turned around and smiled. She reached in her pocket and found this little candy cane. She broke it in half, gave me half. She said, here you go.
Many say the 13-year-old was a kind and giving spirit. They admired how she gave her all when fighting health problems. People in this heartbroken community say Nicole has taught them to appreciate life and to always cherish the good times.
I want you to think about that. The kid that would give you half their candy and wish you Merry Christmas. That's what I want you to remember.
Remember her as the happy child she was, the girl that everybody loved, the smiling Coley.
And funeral services for Nicole Lovell will take place on Thursday at 3 p.m.
This case is drawing media attention nationwide. As you mentioned, Dr. Phil McGraw spoke with Nicole Lovell's father, David Lovell, over the weekend. If you remember, Mr. Lovell spoke to us before suspect Natalie Keeper's first court appearance, but a lot has come out since then. Dr. Phil joins us now live from his studio in Los Angeles this afternoon. Dr. Phil, thanks for talking with us. You know, this is such a tragic case, the death obviously of a 13-year-old girl, evidence of social media playing a role, and 2 students, teens themselves, accused in Nicole's death. What was it about this case that got you interested?
Well, Dawn, what got me interested was the social media aspects and the loss of life here. This is so tragic for this child, and when you think about it here, Nicole had fought so valiantly through her life. As you know, if people may not know, she was born with some real challenges. She had to have a liver transplant, and so she was at death's door a number of times during her short life. And she fought valiantly to stay alive. She had to take medication on a daily basis to fend off her body rejecting the liver that had been transplanted. And if she went even a day without that medication, she would decline rapidly and severely. And when she went out her bedroom window the night of her death, she did not take her medication with her, which meant that she expected to be back before her next dosage, because she knows what happens if she misses that. So she certainly was not running away. She felt like she would be back in time to take that medication. She was lured out that window, we believe, because of her dialogue and relationship that had formed with someone on the Kick app. And parents need to be alerted, because 40% of teens are estimated to be using this Kick app, which is very anonymous. And as you know, the allegations are that these 2 Virginia Tech students, one an athlete, the other a NASA intern, were involved in this. And her father, David, who was at Natalie Keeper's bail hearing, tells us what went on inside those closed-door hearings. And the attitude that he read from Natalie Keeper suggests that they just don't get the gravity of what's happened here. She was giggling during the trial. She was wanting bail because she wasn't getting gluten-free meals. I mean, the whole thing is just disgusting.
How do you monitor what your kids are doing online? You know, what do you say to your kids? How much is too much? I've had parents say, well, I don't want to invade their privacy. What's your recommendation for parents?
Well, Dawn, that's a fair question, but here's the thing. These children, they know so much more about this than us parents do. I mean, come on, they've got the knowledge. They can navigate around the internet and all of these apps and these different devices. I mean, you can get on the internet through a game controller for your Xbox. Most parents don't even know that, but the kids know that, and they know how to do it. They've got the knowledge, but they don't have the wisdom. Parents, you don't have the knowledge, but you do have the wisdom, and that's a great partnership to bring together. It's not an invasion of privacy, it's an assertion of parenting.